Hello and welcome to Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is motivating behavior, right? So how do we get the behaviors we want in an organizational setting, right? So we're going to look at the nature of motivation. We're going to identify needs-based perspectives on motivation. We'll look at some of the major process-based motivational techniques, right? And we'll talk about learning-based perspectives on motivation. So what is motivation? It's a set of forces that leads people to behave in particular ways, right? So this is one, when I talk to managers, comes up a lot. How do I motivate my people to do this? It also, quite frankly, comes up in parents and maybe your parents, right? How do I motivate my children to do whatever it is, their homework, for instance, right? College professors too, right? How do I motivate my students to do this thing I want them to do, right? And in terms of motivation, the job performance, again, it doesn't have to be a job. It could be some 12-year-old cleaning his bedroom, right? But the performance, the output depends upon the motivation, right? Are they motivated to do it? The ability, right? And the environment. So do they want to do it? Do they have the ability to do it? And does the environment allow for them to do it? Right. So all three of those things must be in place before they can have job performance, right? A motivation and no ability doesn't get us anything, right? Or motivation and ability without the environment in which it can be performed also doesn't help us, right? So we look at motivations in terms of a need deficiency here on the upper left corner, right? We have a need. There's something we want. So we, to the left, to the right here, we search for ways to satisfy that need, right? We have a choice of behaviors, right? And this enactment of behavioral choice. So we're going to do this thing. We're going to do this behavior, experience rewards or punishment, right? Does this behavior lead to a reward or punishment, right? And then reassessment of needs. Yes, it did, and it solved my need. Okay, right? So that's kind of how we look at this. We'll have a lot more detail on that. All right. So I think I skipped ahead too far here. Oh, no, here we go. So the motivational framework, right? Some of the words we're using. A need is anything you require or you want. You might not even know it. So for instance, you might wish to have acclaim from your peers. You want them to say, good job, it was a great thing you did. You might not even realize it, right? But when you get it, it feels really good, right? So the second one, need deficiency, and it's just that. It is something you feel is missing. Now, you may trigger that or others may trigger that within you. Goal-directed behaviors result from individuals trying to satisfy needs. So this is behavior, but it's a behavior exhibited towards a certain goal, right? Because they're trying to satisfy this deficiency. And if they do that behavior, it will lead to rewards or punishment, right? Which is the consequence of that, and then we're going to reassess. So this is this chart we've just seen. Okay, so through the history of motivation, we've had a number of different schools of thought have come up with motivation. And the first one is the traditional approach. We've already talked about that. So that would be scientific management from Frederick Taylor. You remember Frederick Taylor said, let's, the managers and the workers get together and figure out the best way to do something. Let's run tests. Let's try to figure out the best way to do this thing. Then let's get the proper employees selected and trained. Then we're going to codify the best way to do this. We're going to write it down. We're going to show it with pictures, all that kind of stuff, right? And then we're going to enforce that everybody follows this best way and we make more stuff, right? And then at the end of it all, when we end up with more stuff, we're going to share that with the employees and that will motivate them, right? So he thought, they're in a machine shop, just give them more money for making more stuff. And that, in fact, does work, right? There's other ways to go about that. So the human relations approach, right, assumes employees' needs outweigh money and that fostering available employee attitudes, right, results in motivation. So that's trying to get at them through their motivations, through their attitudes, like we need to do this because it's the right thing to do. We're going to help these people. Come work for our organization because we're going to change history. We're going to do things like no one else has done before. So it would be that. So for instance, NASA, we're going to build a spaceship that goes to Mars. If you want to be part of that, come work for us. That might motivate you to work for NASA when you in fact could make maybe even more money working somewhere else. Right? And then the human resource approach, the third one on this list, assumes people want to make genuine contributions, right? So that this is a good thing because of this. If you do this, a manager might say you'll help make all our jobs more secure, and you like your employees, so you think that's a good thing. So again, rather than going with the pile of money approach, right? You're going to try to show things that they come from, they come from their good works, right? And that's a useful tool also.